Foreign relations of Indonesia. Since independence, Indonesian foreign relations have adhered to a free and active foreign policy, seeking to play a role in regional affairs commensurate with its size and location but avoiding involvement in conflicts among major powers. Indonesian foreign policy under the new order government of President Suharto moved away from the stridently anti-Western, anti-American posturing that characterized the latter part of the Sukarno era. Following Suharto's ouster in 1998, Indonesia's government has preserved the broad outlines of Suharto's independent, moderate foreign policy. Preoccupation with domestic problems has not prevented successive presidents from traveling abroad. Indonesia's relations with the international community were strained as a result of its invasion of neighbouring East Timor in December 1975, the subsequent annexation and occupation, the independence referendum in 1999, and the resulting violence afterwards. As one of the founding members of Association of Southeast Asian Nations ASEAN, established in 1967, and also as the largest country in Southeast Asia, Indonesia has put ASEAN as the cornerstone of its foreign policy and outlook. After the transformation from Suharto's regime to a relatively open and democratic country in the 21st century, Indonesia today exercises its influence to promote cooperation, development, democracy, security, peace, and stability in the region through its leadership in ASEAN. Indonesia managed to play a role as a peacemaker in the Cambodia-Thailand conflict over the Preah Vihear temple. Indonesia and other ASEAN member countries collectively have also played a role in encouraging the government of Myanmar to open up its political system and introduce other reforms more quickly. Given its geographic and demographic size, rising capabilities and diplomatic initiatives, scholars have classified Indonesia as one of Asia-Pacific's middle powers. Significant international memberships. ASEAN. A cornerstone of Indonesia's contemporary foreign policy is its participation in the Association of Southeast Asian Nations ASEAN, of which it was a founding member in 1967 with Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, and the Philippines. Since then, Brunei, Vietnam, Laos, Burma, and Cambodia also have joined ASEAN. While organized to promote shared economic, social, and cultural goals, ASEAN acquired a security dimension after Vietnam's invasion of Cambodia in 1979. This aspect of ASEAN expanded with the establishment of the ASEAN Regional Forum in 1994, which comprises 22 countries, including the U.S. Indonesian national capital Jakarta is also the seat of ASEAN Secretariat, located at Jalan Sisinggamangaraja No. 70A, Kebayoran Baru, South Jakarta. Other than serving their diplomatic missions for Indonesia, numbers of foreign embassies and diplomatic mission in Jakarta are also accredited to ASEAN. ASEAN headquarters has led to the prominence of Jakarta as a diplomatic hub in Southeast Asia. In the late 1990s to early 2000s, Indonesia's continued domestic troubles have distracted it from ASEAN matters and consequently lessened its influence within the organization. However, after the political and economic transformation, from the turmoil of 1998 reformasi to the relatively open and democratic civil society with rapid economic growth in the 2010s, Indonesia returned to the region's diplomatic stage by assuming its leadership role in ASEAN in 2011. Indonesia is viewed to have weight, international legitimacy, and global appeal to draw support and attention from around the world to ASEAN. Indonesia believes that ASEAN can contribute positively to the international community by promoting economic development and cooperation, improving security, peace, the stability of ASEAN, and making the Southeast Asia region far from conflicts. Indonesia's bilateral relations with three neighboring ASEAN members Malaysia, Singapore, and Vietnam are not without challenges. If not appropriately managed, it would result in mutual mistrust and suspicion, thus hindering bilateral and regional cooperation. In the era of rising Indonesia, which might assert its leadership role within ASEAN, the problem could become more significant. Nevertheless, the rise of Indonesia should be regarded in the sense of optimism. First, although Indonesia is likely to become assertive, the general tone of its foreign policy is mainly liberal and accommodating. The consolidation of the Indonesian democratic government played a key role and influence in ASEAN. The second institutional web of ASEAN will sustain engagements and regular meetings between regional elites, thus deepening their mutual understanding and personal connections. Non-aligned movement NAM. Indonesia also was one of the founders of NAM and has taken moderate positions in its councils. As NAM chairman in 1992-95, Indonesia continues to be a prominent and generally helpful leader of the non-aligned movement. Organization of Islamic Cooperation OIC. Indonesia has the world's largest Muslim population and is a member of OIC. It carefully considers the interests of Islamic solidarity in its foreign policy decisions but generally has been an influence for moderation in the OIC. APEC. Indonesia has been a strong supporter of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation APEC Forum, mainly through the efforts of President Suharto at the 1994 meeting in Indonesia. APEC members agreed to implement free trade in the region by 2010 for industrialized economies and 2020 for developing economies. As the largest economy in Southeast Asia, Indonesia also belongs to other economic groupings such as G20 and Developing 8 Countries D8. G20 major economies. In 2008, Indonesia was admitted as a member of the G20, as the only ASEAN member state in the group. Through its membership in the global economic powerhouse that accounted for 85% of the global economy, Indonesia is keen to position itself as a mouthpiece for ASEAN countries and as a representative of the developing world within the G20. IGI and CGI. After 1966, Indonesia welcomed and maintained close relations with the international donor community, particularly the United States, Western Europe, Australia, and Japan, through the meetings of the Intergovernmental Group on Indonesia IGI and its successor, the Consultative Group on Indonesia CGI, which coordinated substantial foreign economic assistance. Problems in Timor and Indonesia's reluctance to implement economic reform at times complicated Indonesia's relationship with donors. In 1992, the IGI Aid Coordination Group ceased to meet, and the coordination activities were transferred to meetings arranged by the World Bank through the CGI. The CGI, in turn, ceased activities in 2007 when the Indonesian government suggested that an internationally organized aid coordination program was no longer needed. International disputes. Indonesia has numerous outlying and remote islands, some of which are inhabited by numerous pirate groups that regularly attack ships in the Strait of Malacca in the north, and illegal fishing crews known for penetrating Australian and Filipino waters. While Indonesian waters itself is the target of many illegal fishing activities by numerous foreign vessels. Indonesia has some present and historic territorial disputes with neighboring nations such as Ambalat Block in dispute with Malaysia ongoing, overlapping EEZ line drawn by both countries. Ashmore and Cartier Islands in dispute with Australia ongoing, the islands known by Indonesians as Pulau Pasir. Fatu Sinai Island, Pulau Batak formerly disputed with East Timor settled. East Timor ceded the island to Indonesia in August 2004. Myanmar's Las Palmas formerly disputed with Philippine Islands settled. See Island of Palmas case. Northern waters off Natuna Islands in dispute with China and Taiwan ongoing, overlapping with Chinese 9-line claim. Sipadan and Ligitan Islands formerly disputed with Malaysia settled, part of Malaysia's territory per International Court of Justice's decision in 2002. Bilateral relations. Africa, Americas, Asia, Europe, Oceania. International organization participation.